G'day mates! In today's video, I want to kick off talking about why Epic delayed the Placement Cup from this weekend to next weekend and why people are really upset with the new time that it's on. Also, you guys keep asking me about all the new duos. Did Bugha and Miro split? Did Clix and Duke split? What about Tayson and Chapix, Merstach and Malibuca? We have some absolutely insane new teams. I'm going to cover where they're dropping and some of the beef that's starting to kick off between a lot of them because we have some of the biggest teams in the world contesting each other, and I want to talk about which POIs are looking like the strongest POIs coming into our first tournaments. There's a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into it. Let's kick off talking about why the Placement Cup was delayed. If you guys missed my video talking about the competitive format or you've missed the divisional cups in the past, the Placement Cup is one of the most important tournaments of the season, and now with you needing to get to Elite Division to play in FNCS, I would argue outside of FNCS, it is the most important tournament of the season because this is your chance to get directly into Elite and therefore straight into FNCS. It was supposed to be taking place this Saturday, but Fortnite Status tweeted out today, competitors, we have rescheduled the Placement Cup to kick off on December 18th to allow for the implementation of necessary bug fixes and upcoming balance adjustments in version 23.10. We apologize for the inconvenience and we will detail these adjustments as they release. Now, that is great news. As much as that might be annoying, you know, you wanted the tournament this Saturday. I had plans for it as well. I was super excited to watch it. The game's a bit buggy right now. There's some major issues, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when I talk about the new teams and how scrims have been going, but it did need to be delayed. The only problem is the time they've delayed it with. And if you're watching this and you're a football fan or a soccer fan, you would probably know what I'm talking about. December 18th is the World Cup finals. So unfortunately, this is going to be going on, I believe, the World Cup finals during round 1 of this, which is super unfortunate. But at the same time, like I said, focusing on this just purely for Fortnite, obviously, it's very hard for them to schedule these things without clashing with any other events going on with other games in the real world, all those things. It is ultimately better for the game. There are some major issues with Fortnite right now that need to get fixed. Like, I'm enjoying the current meta, like the map is exciting and fun, while there are a lot of issues around material, and I hope Epic fixes that. The Excalibur rifle and the Shockwave hammer alone, the two of those need to be fixed. There needs to be some major changes made to them, and the fact that we have now confirmed we are getting balance adjustments in this 23.10 update is fantastic. Also, I believe this will probably be the Winterfest update, so I don't know if that's going to affect competitive even more. We might actually find that we get some of these weapons adjusted, but there's some other potentially more crazy, stupid things in the game. There's also just some confusions around how the augments work. A lot of people seem to think that the zone reveal augment is not in competitive when it actually is. The zone mark augment was taken out of competitive, which marks people around you in zone pools, but currently players are able to see every single zone ahead of time in competitive, and some players are getting it every single game because there's currently an issue right now, I assume a bug with how augments work, where a lot of pros are abusing this, where if you play an account and you get a certain amount of augments in a row, or you get to the perfect amount of augments, they stop playing on that account to make sure when they play tournaments they have a far higher chance of getting the augments they want, like glider redeploy and like zone reveal, without having all the other augments clogging things up. That is obviously an issue that's going to need to be addressed before one of the first major tournaments of the season. And I'm not just basing my opinion as being a sweaty sweat and just complaining about anything new. As you guys know, I'm really excited for them to hopefully balance some of these items like the Excalibur rifle, like the Shockwave hammer, to keep them in the game rather than just vaulting them. But anyone who says right now pros are just complaining and they should adapt needs to watch this clip today from the $10,000 Dignitas tourney and what is Ajers supposed to do here? Depends what you... Oh, no. Oh,
here on the edge of zone. Not exactly chilling like we've seen some other teams. And Ajers throws down that keg, no hope, to try and build out. Gets some shots through. There is an elim coming.
Okay, Ajers. Bro, this is so dumb. Well, this is chapter 4 comp right now.
That's got to be multiple Excalibur rifles, multiple teams putting those shots in. Hats off to Ajers, though. He is not taking a
what is happening? Right now, how did Epic not see this coming? They made it take shotgun ammo.
A huge chunk of his shields and HP goes down. He goes down.
Honestly, I think Ajers probably just has to be a little bit better next time, to be fair. I think he's probably hit the VODs and just, you know, fix that up for next time. Bit of a skill issue. I'm sure you ran into a player just spamming Excalibur rifles in pubs or arena, but in competitive right now, it's on a whole nother level. So I'm excited to see that Epic has delayed to hopefully fix up these items. We will get another chance to see how these items are affecting things in a real tournament. Remember, we have the ESL Cup this Friday, the JBL Quantum Cup. This is for hundreds of thousands of dollars across all different regions, and I will be watching them on my Twitch channel on Friday if you want to swing by and see whatever this competitive meta is right now before Epic fixes it. It's not just about the tournaments. We've also had a bunch of scrims to see how these teams are performing, how the meta's going, and a lot of you guys keep asking me, who are the new duos? Did Bugha and Miro actually split? Did Tasted and Chadwick split? I'm going to cover them all here. I'm going to kick off with NA East. I'll talk about where some of them are dropping and some of the notable spawn fights and some of the best placements so far, but it is still very early days, but I know you guys want to know who the crazy new duos are. So on NA East, we still have a few of the old classic duos, Scented and Cold, Commandment Avery, Rise and Eomzo are back together, Threats and Macwood, but we do have some very, very exciting new duos. We have Acorn and Dukes. Acorn and Edgy did split up. They went into the Invitational as one of NA's favorites to do really well. They were supposed to be contested. They did have a couple teams around them at Tilted. Great day one, but kind of fell apart a bit on day two, and it was honestly an underperformance, I'm sure, by their own standards and by a lot of people. So Acorn and Dukes, the new duo, which obviously means Clix and Dukes have now split as well. They did well in FNCS, but Invitational, they were doing great day one, fell apart a little bit on day two, and honestly, it's not that I don't think this duo could have worked placement-wise. I think the vibes are a bit off towards the end. Clix talked about it a few times. Dukes just went from being a very hyped player at the start of them playing together towards the end. He just started to kind of lose a lot of that excitement, and Clix is a big vibe player. You know, if Clix is playing with someone, they're both excited, going crazy, they perform even better. Once the vibes go down, it kind of snowballs a bit. But Clix did pick up a new demon. He's got Donnie. You might know of Donnie from Zone Wars. He is an absolute wager demon, some of the best mechs in the scene, but he has been trying to compete the last few seasons to varying success. He's done well. He's not just full wager warrior, no clue how to play the game competitively. He is quite smart, and honestly, in scrims, there was a scrims a couple days ago where Clix and Donnie actually came in third. They were doing really, really well. They're currently going Citadel. It's an iffy drop because it has no metal like most of the POIs around the map, which has been a bit of an issue. Clix and Donnie have been talking about dropping somewhere else, but I think are honestly kind of just waiting until a few new POIs pop up to really try to claim a POI for FNCS. But I think Citadel is honestly more than a good enough drop for the Placement Cup next weekend. We might even get a new POI with this update on Tuesday. We don't really know, but they have been looking really, really good. Acorn and Dukes, they're looking insane. I think that is one of NA's best duos right now. I believe, personally, I've said this a few times, I think Acorn is potentially the best player in NA East right now, just in my opinion. So them and Dukes could be doing really, really well. We have Bugha and Peterbot, which does confirm the rumors that Bugha and Miro have split up. They are the most dominant duo I think we've had in a very long time in all regions, especially NA East, but things have fallen apart a little bit towards the end. I think having two people who both seem not super motivated to grind the game, especially Miro, they did get their placements. They were running on what I want to say kind of like fumes towards the end of not playing the game that much. They weren't grinding together that much. They didn't play cash cups together, but whenever they played together for grand finals, they won, or they at least placed really highly. So of course they're going to keep playing together, but all it was going to take was a couple of bad placements, and a lot of people aren't surprised to see them split up. But Bugha and Peterbot's an interesting one, especially after Peterbot, according to a lot of people, did underperform at the Invitational. Was in, I believe, last place going into day two. A lot of people saying that's suspicious, whatever, I don't care. But Peterbot didn't have a crazy invitational performance, but Bugha picked him up. Bugha sees the potential, and it's going to be interesting to see if this duo lasts. A lot of people have eyes on this duo to potentially split, thinking that Bugha won't put up with Peterbot's personality. We'll go with personality. It's, you know, we'll see how we go. I think it's a crazy duo. They have been playing really well together. Maybe Peterbot will take it a bit more seriously. He won't troll or mess around as much, knowing that he's playing with someone of the caliber of Bugha, and I don't think Bugha will put up with Peterbot messing around too much. They have unfortunately been banned from scrims twice in 5 days. They got banned, unbanned, and then rebanned again for keying and not taking it seriously. So we'll see how that goes, but I do think they are going to be a scary duo. That means we do have now Miro finding Edgy. So obviously we kind of have this, you know, love triangle, square, pentagon thing going on here between all these different duos, but Miro and Edgy looking really, really solid. We'll have to see whether that duo lasts. Miro has been talking about stepping into that IGL role because Edgy obviously is a fragger, Miro was a fragger. It'll be interesting to see whether that remotivates him for the game. I kind of like this for Miro. Sometimes changing the role that you play really helps you reconnect and focus on something new, which can remotivate you and really, you know, kind of get you to play the game a bit more again. Miro has talked multiple times about not playing on controller anymore as well. well, moving to mouse and keyboard is just easier for Storm Surge, which that would be like a final nail in the coffin of controller players right now. If Miro switches to mouse and keyboard, honestly, I feel like that's a big sign that controller players, it's going to be hard to compete at a top level, but I think he's sticking to controller for now. We also have some OGs coming back. Dubs has come back to play with Except. We have what is, my opinion, one of the most sleeper duos so far this season as far as scrims go, Walkers and Pledge. They're actually contesting Clix at Citadel. One of the scrims recently, they made it off spawn 3 times out of the 4, and went on to basically place top 5 in all of them. I think Walkers and Pledge are looking like a very, very scary duo. And then we have Degen and Muzz as one of our brand new duos as well. As far as the drop spot, a lot of this is changing. There's not too much interesting to talk about. You'll notice that Bugha and Acorn, pretty much the 2 premier teams of NAEs, have taken Slappy Shores. When I talk about EU in a second, when you have Vino and Queasy going up against Tayson and Merstach, you're going to hear a similar story. Slappy Shores seems to be the best drop on the map, or at least the best teams are trying to claim it. The main reason for this is the surplus of metal. You get guaranteed metal on top of a whole bunch of other loot, so we're seeing a lot of the good duos try to claim that. They're not really contesting. It's kind of like how Misty Meadows used to be. You kind of just split it north and south, and the water in between is a bit of a barrier. You can fight, but a lot of them aren't fighting too much. You'll actually notice a lot of the really, really good teams are actually going split jobs. You have Rise and Iomzo going like kind of like this gas station split just to the west of Slappy Shores. So a lot of the split jobs actually have more metal than the POIs themselves, which is kind of crazy. You'll notice what one of the best jobs on the map is right now that isn't a POI very quickly by the fact that both of them are triple cons. So right now we have Lawrence and Bucky, who have been going up against Me Too and Nounsy, and honestly a whole bunch of other teams at this kind of castle location on the northeast of the map. You also have Moo, Voil, and then Drain Gang Nerf going at it at this split just to the west of this. Both these areas have some of the most amount of metal on the map and just good loot in general. So it's kind of crazy to see triple conning places that aren't even POIs. Outside of that, other big notable POIs, obviously we have Citadel. Like I said, Clix has been dropping there, going up against Twanty's team, and also going up against Walkers and Pledge. We then have Death and Tabney, who've been going the Shattered Slabs. Not really any metal there, not a super crazy drop, honestly. We have the Frenchies, Fatch and Pam Stu trying to go up against Dubs at Frenzy Fields. We currently have Commandment and Scarebear going for this kind of, again, split drop with a whole bunch of metal because of the caravans over in this area. Ages and Kanata are going up against Jack and Quanti at Faulty Splits, but it looks like they might potentially be splitting it. They're probably fighting a little bit, but there is enough loot for both of them. We currently have Scented and Cold trying to hold down Anvil Square. It's a central map drop. It has a whole bunch of loot, but there is almost always going to be 2 teams here. I will be very surprised if Scented and Cold do claim this completely to themselves. We have Edgy's team going on the far very west of the drop in a split over there. I wouldn't take the drops into too much of account. I feel like a lot of them will split, but I know a lot of you guys have been asking me, what are the big names going at it and where are the best drop spots? Right now, it really does look like on most regions, the best drop spots that most people are contesting is Slappy Shores, Faulty Springs, the castle, and the dock, I want to call it, to the northeast of the map seem to be getting the most amount of attention. Now, moving on to EU, we do still have some classic duos still playing together. We have Anas and Pink, Kami and Seti, Queasy Vino, Savage iDrop, but we have some incredibly exciting new teams. We have Thomas HD and Malibuca. That team's fighting capability is going to be ridiculous. They're going to be like 1,000 above on Surge every single game. We have Tayson and Merstach. We have Vidil and Noah Riley, the Germans, getting back together. Yanis and Rezon. We have Vico and Aqua. So Aqua picking up the young, underrated mech demon Vico. We have Zandy and Chapix back together again, but technically still a new duo. We have Trulex and Jerky getting back together again from the trio days. We have Nebs and Andretta, Hellfire and Refsguard, and then Hen and Marine. So again, some really, really cool new teams on EU. As far as the drop spots go, we do have a more of a spicy contest going on. We currently have Tayson and Merstach and Queasy and Vino both fighting over that Slappy Shores area that I was talking about. Again, this map is from a different scrim, so I know Tayson's not on there, but I got the intel from Boob, who's been running the EU scrims, that is kind of even spilled over into a little bit of beef and drama in his chat, which is always exciting. I feel like EU actually just doesn't have as much beef and drama as what a lot of NA does, which kind of does fuel those storylines. So seeing the caliber of Queasy and Vino, Tayson and Merstach going at it, potentially fighting on spawn, is going to be incredibly exciting. For whatever reason, Mr. Savage just seems to really not to like to have his drops uncontested. Him and iDrop are going up against Flowers' team and Vortex's team team over at Anvil Square. Like I just said, it's going to be very hard for Center to claim it. It's going to be very hard for any one team to claim this POI. It's a bunch of loot. It's got a bunch of material dead center of the map. We'll see if that lasts. That's just been in scrims so far. Pink and Anas taking what I think is a pretty low-key drop towards the northwest. Is kind of split in the section top. I haven't seen too many teams going there. I'm not entirely sure if there's something crazy here that I'm missing. I don't really know. We currently have Z-Andy and Chapix trying to take down faulty splits. Like I said, this is also going to attract a lot of teams, but two teams could easily split this if they really want to as well. Jerky and Trulex going for what I think looks like a pretty low-key drop towards the middle of the map. They are again going to get a lot of that metal outside of the castle there. A lot of these teams, again, just for scrims purposes, they will take them and they'll go on pretty crazy splits. I think a lot of these teams, when it comes to the placement cup, because since it's not set lobbies, it is 2 rounds of opens tournaments. Technically, I think a lot of them are going to try to hold down these much stronger POIs, these much stronger drops, and give those a run. We also have a triple con going for just, again, this split that's in the middle of the map is because it gets a whole bunch of metal from the caravans. We have Hellfire, Tripburn, and Float Axe's team going at it, but again, keep in mind, I'm talking about drop spots. There's probably some pros watch this video who are like, oh, I'm not even going. I get it. This is just for now what we're looking at. Things will change very quickly, especially if we start to get new POIs popping up on the map like a lot of people have expected. We have areas that are almost guaranteed to melt just like we had Tilted Towers. We have a lot of OG POIs that were in the game files in the event that have been promised to be coming that aren't here yet. So just take these drops with a grain of salt. All right, guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.